Hello, welcome to my Practicum 1 final presentation. I want to start by saying that I didn't have much of a teacher identity at all before we started really the Practicum experience because I switched into this major about a year and a half ago, and before I was doing pre-med, so everything was very scientific and there was always an exact answer in my mind. Well, it was working that way, and that's fine, but then I was like, this is not for me. So developing my identity has been a process this semester, and I got to work on it a lot. And I was looking at my notes from the beginning of the semester, and I kind of described myself as controlled and caring. And something I can say about this semester is that has taken that word out of my vocabulary. I don't really think anymore that control is what I want in my classroom, not using that word specifically. I think it's too strong, and I've found that a lot of my identity comes from having mutual respect and kind of like our classroom works as one. We're a team. I'm not directing in front of them all of the time. I found that my favorite thing to do is group discussion because I think it brings the most out of my class. It gives them the most chance to express themselves and really think about their thought process. While I have found that is something that I like to do and I'm good at, I have focused my professional goal on something that I've been working on a lot, which is transitions, because my transition times have been taking like 5 or 6 minutes, and that's a pretty big waste of time. So my goal was to cut down transition times using implementing a routine system. And I haven't got to work on it very much, of course, in the classroom, but that didn't stop me from brainstorming a bunch of ideas about how to make that a reality in my classroom. I decided that something that I really want to do is use music. And by that, I mean, there are tons of websites that my creative arts methods teacher showed me that just have playlists of music that last 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, even 3 minutes, for using during transitions. And they come in lots of different genres and speeds, tempo and beat. And I really think that that's going to be helpful in my classroom. My CT uses wind chimes to monitor the volume in her classroom. She'll just go over there, ring her ring chimes, and the students go silent until the wind chimes are done ringing. And it works really well. It has kind of just become something that the students just know in a second. They hear the wind chimes and they're like, "Oh, we got to bring our volume down, or we're probably going to get reprimanded." But another thing is that I was in Livingston at the Catholic school, and those students are very well behaved because that school community works mostly on, maybe not mostly, but they work very hard for building character, and I found out a lot of things about that at the school. So even though I taught at a Catholic school, turns out much less than half of the students practice the Catholic religion, and that most of the reason that they go to that school is because of the character building. The parents want their children to be learning life skills as well as their academic skills, and I think that is something that I just wouldn't have got at the public school because there's different rules, and there's no government funding, so they don't have things like IEPs or like that in their school. They have a title program, but it's not very frequently used because those students are all pretty they fit in at the school. The really small school brought the community together, the faculty community mixed with the parents, because we only have 18 students mixed together in second and third grade, which is what I was where I was placed. And it makes it feel just so much easier to get a really good one-on-one relationship with our students. The parents come in and there's plenty of time to talk to them and build relationships with them frequently. And I just really loved being at that school. I really liked the connection that the faculty had with each other. I mean, they are gym partners, the teacher and other faculty in the school, and like my CT teaches second, third, and her brother teaches the fourth and fifth. So I think that's just a really cool connection. Everybody is really close knit, and I got an amazing experience out of this. I personally got to bond with my case study very well. I actually found myself easily connecting to every one of my students, which I'm grateful for. But this student is just amazing, and she made my days absolutely better. Obviously, she had things to work on. That's why she was my case study. But I was able to find out a lot about her strengths and use those in the classroom to motivate her, because the problem she was having is that she wasn't getting very much attention at home, my CT said, as well as, talking with the parents. And so she needed extra attention, but she did it in a way that is wholesome, which is what came with my case, like why I formed her to be in my case study, is because she just takes away from her own learning to go help others, and she distracts herself a lot. She doesn't pay attention to everything that's happening because she's just finding ways to help everyone else, and she's not helping herself. So having her as my case study student really showed me that we can build strong bonds over a very short amount of time if we are, as teachers, taking the time and the care and the patience and the love to get to know our students deeply enough to be able to help them in all areas of their life, not just academic success. I found that to be most of what I consider my identity now, is that I think it's impossible to truly help a student succeed in every area if you only care about their academic success. So more of my identity is formed around making sure that I have a positive relationship with every single one of my students, and that I am actually getting the time to know them. We learned in our case study that that's something that happens, is that the teacher, Mrs. Axel, very much overlooked the personal relationships and bonds that she could have been making with her students, like Matthew, and that resulted in bad things happening. The student didn't feel the connection, didn't feel like he could reach out and talk to her. He didn't even want to acknowledge her at times, and that's just not what I want to happen with me. So I think that when you get to know your students better, you have a much better idea of their classroom needs. And, that's just something that can't happen if you're only worried about academic success. Because of the pandemic, I haven't got to spend very much time with my students, and that's okay. But I realized again that the bonds that I'm making with them pretty much don't exist at this point, because I really value that in-class time and needed it to get to know them, because now I don't talk to them at all, really, virtually or in person, obviously, because my CT is just absolutely overwhelmed as well, and who wouldn't be? So I'm finding that the connection to them is much less now that I don't get to see them interact with each other and myself in the classroom. And kind of what I was realizing when I was preparing this is that my goal really is to teach and learn and build relationships with every one of my students, so that years down the road in my career, I will have thousands of relationships with students that I've had over the years, because I care about them very much, and I still have relationships with teachers that I loved in high school and elementary and middle school, and I know that it's possible, and that just really excites me for going into teaching and getting to do that, like connect with people, build one-on-one relationships. It's just amazing, and this semester has completely blown my mind, like, about everything that is possible and everything that will be occurring as I become a teacher, and I'm really excited about that. And building my teacher identity has been just beautiful. So yeah, thank you for coming to my presentation. It's been an amazing semester, and I can't wait to keep going.